All right, we're back with an all-new show, Blue Damage. Look, I have revived myself from the COVID-19. I am COVID-free.
I knew you would
Woohoo!
do it. I knew you would do it, Jason. If anybody could beat it, it was you.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
been
but in a
resurrected.
week,
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, but in a week, everybody online is saying that Jason Lee has the cure. And I have to tell you, I did do some stuff outside of traditional medicine that I'm not going to talk about because, rest in peace to Dr. Sebi. I don't want the people coming over here to my house. But look, I haven't skipped a beat. We've been looking online and seeing that Tameka Foster Raymond wrote a book about her ex-husband, Usher. And
Mm.
I've known Tameka for a long time. And I don't know if either of you have met her, but she's such a nice, sweet person. I've never wanted to ask her all the details about her ex-man, but now that she has this book, I couldn't wait to call her and tell her I wanted to talk to her.
Ooh,
Usher is one of my celebrity crushes, and I've heard nothing but good things about how charming and amazing he is. I cannot imagine what it's like to marry someone like that, though, because he's a big deal. So I'm curious to see what she has to say about being in his limelight or in his shadow, I guess.
now I have a question. Is the song Moving Mountains about her?
Oh,
Because
You
that's
know
a
what?
powerful song.
Well, that's the thing about this book. It does talk about the song Here I Stand, and that's the
Oh.
name of the book. So she named the book after that song and some other meaning that I'm going to get into. But see, the thing about
oh,
Tameka that I think a lot of us are always interested in knowing about is who is she beyond Usher? We know that
Mhm.
she's Usher's ex-wife, but we know that she's an entrepreneur. We know she's a mom. We know she lost her son. We know that there's
mhm.
more to Tameka than just Usher. Well, it wasn't just those things that I had to ask her about. You all know that Quantasia, that woman said that Usher gave her herpes. I had to ask her about that.
Allegedly.
That
I
was
know.
so alleged.
Well, but I had to ask her about that too because every time we post Tamika, people are in the comments asking if she got it.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Y'all need to stop shaming people. A lot of people have STDs. Somebody watching this probably has it. So let's stop acting like it's a rare thing. Even if he did have an STD, it's nothing to be shamed about, guys. It's normal.
Well, nonetheless, the best part about this interview coming up with Tameka Foster Raymond is that we see more of who she is as a human being, a person, a mother, a philanthropist, somebody who is keeping her deceased child's name alive, and somebody who was married to a famous superstar and still stood. And so here we go, Tameka Foster Raymond. All right, and welcome Tameka Raymond Foster to the show. Now, can I call you Tameka Raymond Foster, or do I call you Tameka Foster, or do I just call you Tameka?
It's Tameka Foster Raymond.
See, I just call you Tameka, and what I love about you is our relationship has never been about anything other than just Tameka. And what I find interesting is that whether I see you here or us, getting into a party or our favorite restaurant, I always feel like our connection has always just been about two human beings and less about what I do for work and who you've been married to.
Right. That's right. That's right. We're cool.
So now, are you able now to to make a connection between who are like the people you can trust and who are people around you because of the entertainment and the business or what you do or who you've been affiliated with?
It's a really fine line. It's been a fine line. Some of the people that I thought were friends, that I thought were truly my sisters or people that I really have helped to get in their positions or whatever, I've been really surprised. I guess this has really been transactional more than I thought. Shit.
Well, you're from Oakland, California, which I find odd because I'm from Stockton, and people that are typically from Northern California, we don't get mystified by the. So, how are you from like East Oakland? Or are you from Piedmont? Because there is a difference.
Yeah, don't try me. I am from East Oakland, 90th and Hollow. Definitely.
Okay,
90th and Bancroft, for people who don't know. 90th and Bancroft.
so that's the hood. You're from the hood.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so then why are you always so pulled together and poised? Don't you ever just want to just let that East Oakland out?
It comes out. Well, see, here's the thing though. Although, one side, so I have two sides of my family. One side of my family is from East Oakland. They're more of your tell it like it is. They pull the East Oakland out real easy. And then the other side is they're kind of poised and persnickety and all that. So I think I'm really an equal blend of both. And that's really what happened. Because I had to realize what happened to me. I am a little bit different.
Okay, so everybody knows that you are in the business and that you're a stylist. Now, of course, this is your first book, the new book, Here I Stand.
Second
You're an
book.
author now. It's your second book. What
Yeah,
was the first book?
white bras. I have a funny style guide called White Bras and 101 Style Faux Pas. It's hilarious. Yeah.
But this is your first book where you're like digging into the life of Tameka, right? This is the
Yes.
first of those kind of books. Okay.
Yes.
Why after all this time did you decide that, okay, I'm now ready to pull back the veil a little bit more on my personal life, my professional life, having worked with different celebrities in the business? Why now?
I started writing it in 2009. Um, as I was starting to go into my divorce and all that, I started writing it sort of like a diary, just kind of writing down how I felt and, who I was mad at and all that kind of stuff. Then I felt like I was too emotional and I was biased. Of course, all in my favor. I was like mad at the world and mad at all the blogs, mad at the media. I was too angry to have put a book out then. So then I stopped writing, and then life went on. I started a custody battle. I started fighting over all kinds of stuff, and I went back to work and living my life. And then my son passed, and I started writing again, like during that time. And so during COVID, the pandemic, I was like, you should just finish that book. Do that thing, finish it. Because I already was 5 chapters in, like 4.5, 5 chapters in. I started to shape it, you know what I mean? And then I just started thinking about my childhood. That's when I wrote all that stuff, was all during the pandemic, about my childhood, about my upbringing, my parents. Started talking to my family about where I came from and like, okay, now I get it. Now things started to come together. Yeah.
Okay, so you covered a lot of things in the book, which I want to talk about because I recently saw your interview with Tamara Hall, which I also want to talk about because as an interviewer, it's always interesting watching all of people's styles, and so it was really interesting. And to know you personally, you seemed a little guarded in the interview. Was that you just wanting to get more, like needing to get more comfortable with doing interviews, or was it that particular interview, at least in my opinion, that you looked a little guarded or a little not Tameka?
you know, I'm an energy person, and I don't mean to be cliche or everybody's like putting their stones in the sun and all that. I'm not doing that, but I'm an energy person, and I feel your vibe, right? So I felt her vibe was cold, but I love her. I love Tamron. She's beautiful. I'm grateful that she's a Black woman in a position she's in to even be interviewing me. You know what I mean? So I find good in all of it. I did feel that it was a little shaky.
Hmm. What part in particular? Because we could just, I guess, start there and talking about the book, the new book, Here I Stand. So you were doing an interview with her, and you were talking about a lot of different things. One of the topics that at least that I was very much like, here we go, was when she started to talk about the death of your child. I've lost a brother, very, very, very traumatic situation. And I didn't see the empathy. I didn't see I saw she was laying up the conversation. I didn't see that she was really getting into the heart um, of the emotion that goes behind something like that. Was that the part for you?
I don't think it was about my son that was cold. Her energy, she just didn't feel warm and fuzzy. She wasn't like, I didn't feel the empathy. There was a couple times where she just was like, oh, I could never have said that. Like when I said that I felt like my son had kind of fulfilled his contract and that his time on earth was kind of predestined. I think all of our time is predestined. And I'm not saying it matter of factly, like I don't care. Are you kidding me? It's been a disaster for me. But yeah, I didn't really feel her empathy 100%. No.
Mhm. So your
But I'm
son
grateful
Kyle,
for the opportunity and everything.
So your son Kyle, who we're talking about, he passed away back in 2012, which is almost 10 years now, from a boating accident. And you talked in the interview with Tamarin about getting the phone call, and knowing immediately that something was wrong, and getting there and really wanting to hold on to your son and keeping the energy around him very positive and focused on coming through it. And we know ultimately he didn't. What was it at that time that gave you the clarity to be able to be so present in the moment that was so traumatic?
I obviously it was a lot of prayer. I had a lot of people around me, as I call them, prayer warriors. I mean, people were calling from every walk of life, praying with me on the phone when I would get on the phone with people. Um, and I just had to pray and kind of look for answers, regarding it. I still, I mean, I'm still mystified. I still don't have it all together. I'm still touch and go, you know what I mean, as it pertains to losing him. Um, but I will say it had to be. All I can say is God. I know it sounds like just a typical answer, but all I can attribute it to is God. Because what else would keep me together at a time like that? You know what I mean?
Mhm. How long did you? I mean, we never completely let go of the fact that we lose a loved one. I know I haven't. When did you stop the mourning part? How long did the mourning process of the overwhelming emotion take place?
Oh no, I mourn often. I mourn often. Like I mourn in the mornings. Like I will get in a bathtub and just cry, cry, cry really hard. Or for example, his best friend in school is now a major league baseball player. So when I see him, I'm so happy for him, but I'm looking like, wow, what would have Kyle been doing, at 20 years old? He may have been a famous artist or a singer or an actor like he wanted to be. So I
Mhm.
always think about what the possibilities are. You don't get over it, Jason. You learn to live around it. You live around it. That's how you kind of cope. I can sit here and talk to you as clear as day about it, and we'll be fine, and I won't shed a tear. I'm good when I'm speaking on his behalf and for him. But I can walk away and see a random child walk by and fall out. You know what I mean? It just really depends. It's very touch and go.
See, because the reason why I asked the question is when we lose a family member or somebody close to us, and we know and we have time to prepare, that's one experience. But when it is so sudden, it is so mentally jarring. I try to explain to people that it does this psychological, it has a psychological effect on you that is really hard to recover from. And
Mhm.
sometimes we get focused on that moment that they died and not the life that we were able to share with them. And so I was wondering if there was a time where you were able to get past that part that I was stuck in for 10 years. Were you able to get past it? Are you still in that?
I truly feel that people mourn differently when there's guilt involved. And I don't mean guilt for the like whatever happened to the person, but sometimes if they weren't as present as they should have been, or if they weren't, yeah, I just think if they weren't as loving or as present, or they weren't, how sometimes if you're in a, like, say you're beefing with somebody and then God forbid something happens to them, you feel 10 times worse because you're like, oh, I should have said sorry or whatever. I don't have any regret regarding my son, and that's what I would love to have explained to Tamara. You know what I'm saying? I was very present, excuse me, with my son. I told him I loved him the last time I spoke to him. I showed him I loved him every single day of his life. We would send I love yous. We would send cute messages. I would buy him things at random, just whatever. I always showed my love for him. And I was always involved in things he did. Like in his school play, I dressed him. I made his costume. He played Michael Jackson in The Wiz. I made the costume exactly like the one on the movie. Like these are things I did. I showed my love. So if you were in any way estranged from a person, or you were mean to that person, you hurt worse when they pass away because you're dealing with your own issues about it.
What do you think Tamron's perception of that situation or your relationship to the experience was? What did you think she was thinking?
I can't imagine what she was thinking, but what I do think is that she came into this interview with an already set preconceived notion about who I was. And I don't think I ever had a chance, to be
Mhm.
fair, because I know the warm and I don't know her, but I see the warm and fuzzy version of her. You know what I mean? She's very likable and very charismatic. That's why I was so excited to do her show, because I'm a cheerleader for the cute black girl. Number one, if you cute, I really want to be on your show. She dresses well, her hair is cute, she's cute. I was like, oh yeah, we can have a ball. I'm thinking she gonna be the homie. Nah, she's. I don't know. It just was the energy was a little off. It was a little. I don't want to interrogate you about your body. I'm like, what? Who said body? Hold on. I was like, damn.
So when you talk about remorse, and I know that this was traumatic and you were away at the time, do you
Mhm.
have remorse for not being there when it happened? Like, do you have
Yes,
any feelings about that?
yes. Sorry to cut you off, but yes, yes. I
Mm.
wish I had been with my child at that time. Yes. And you know, the sad part, I think what I lived with worse, the only if I had one regret, it was actually my weekend or my week to be with him. But I was going to Evelyn's wedding, and my friend was a wedding planner, and you know, I'm very cool with Evelyn. And at the time, that's why I left on 4th of July to go to her wedding.
And you're talking about Evelyn Lozada. It was her wedding.
Yeah, Evelyn and Chad's wedding. That's
Mhm.
why I went to St. Martin for it.
And so, how long did you live with the guilt?
I don't know if it's guilt. I don't want to call it guilt. That seems guilt is harsh. I wasn't guilty. I just feel like maybe that would have changed the outcome. But then on the same token, I say no, because then if it was his time to go, it would have happened with me. You know what I mean? I don't think it really mattered. When it's your time, I don't think it matters where you are or in what scenario. You know what I'm saying? So we could have
Mhm.
been driving down the street and had a collision or something. You know, if it really were one of our times to go. I really believe, I don't know. I believe that we have a certain amount of time. And that's just how I guess that's my coping mechanism of how I feel about it.
And that is predestined time. I mean, it's they always say when we were growing up, it was your time is written. And I'm sorry if I used the wrong word, guilt. Definitely meant remorse, but it's good that you made the distinction between the two because when my brother died, I did feel some guilt. I felt like this was my karma. I felt like it was my going away party that he was at, and so for a long time, a lot of the turmoil that I was in was feeling the guilt. And so I'm glad that you made the distinction. So, you did therapy as a result of going through that?
I did very little therapy. Really, I did a lot of, I got quiet, like quiet, quiet room therapy. Like I dealt with myself. I started to reflect on just my life and things I had done. And for a while, I asked God, like, did I do something wrong to somebody? Like, I know I've never murdered anyone. I know I've never um, been disloyal to a friend. And I know I've never been, I know I'm not a snake kind of person. So I was like, what in the world could have caused something so bad, to happen in my life? But then you can't say, why me? It happens to so many people. People lose children, people lose family, parents. Death is unfortunately is a part of life. It's a part of life. You just don't know nobody knows what day they're gonna die. You don't know if you're gonna be 98 and if you're gonna be 2 years old. You just don't know.
Mhm.
You just don't.
So how did mothering change, if at all, after this experience? Did you become like a really overprotective mom? Like, I don't want my kids out of sight.
Yes. I'm probably a helicopter mom. I am more intentional with my time with my children. I think I'm more intentional. So, like when they're around me, when they're in my presence, I feel that I'm very present. And I'm always saying, I love you. And I'm all super mushy and lovey dovey. And they're like, stop, mom. My teenage boys are looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I think I'm more mushy than I was before.
So the book, can we get into the book? Because I read the book.
Mhm.
And the
Mm.
book is great. And this is from one published author to another one. Well, you were published before me. The book is amazing. Here I Stand. I saw in Tamron where you talked about the title, and she really wanted to hang on to why you named it that. And I found it interesting that you named it that. Here I Stand. Why choose a song title from one of your ex-husbands, and not something else? Why that?
Well, it has the title has a double meaning for me. When I was, in my courtship or, dating, and then I got married, there was an album entitled, it's an album name called Here I Stand. There's a song on there, the title track is called Here I Stand. Um, yeah, it was an important time in my life. It was a great time in my life. Heck, I danced at my wedding to that song. So it was pretty amazing. The album was dedicated to me, as I said already, but also here I stand as a person that's just been through hell and back. Like I done been through the ringer. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I lost a child. I lost my grandmother in a fire. and my aunt. I lost my mother. I lost my brother. I lost a sister in a car accident. Like I've had some stuff happen in my life. I've been super duper broke, and I'm talking about in recent years, recent like since marriage. I've had many businesses. Some didn't work, some did. I've just been through a whole lot of stuff, and I went through a really tough time with public scrutiny. Um, but I'm still standing. You know what I mean? I think there's just a testament to just who I am. I'm standing. I'm strong. Um, do I have weak moments? Do I break down and cry? Do I ask God why about stuff? Yes, I talk about that in the book also. But yeah, here I stand. Like I think it's just powerful.
So we know that you were married twice. Once to Ryan Glover, who was the father, Kyle's father, right?
Mhm.
And then you later remarried to Usher Raymond, who we all know. You know the funny story that I never really told anybody, because who do you tell these stories to?
Right.
Me and
Here.
you were me and you me and you were at Puffy's house watching the Grammys,
Please,
and I
please
was
make it
sitting.
be known there was a lot of people there. It wasn't a
No, there was a house full of
yeah,
people
it wasn't
there.
that kind of party. Okay.
There's a house full of people there.
Okay.
And I was sitting here and you were kind of off in the back with the girls doing whatever and whoever you were with. And there were so many people everywhere. But then Usher walked in and sat right next to me. And I had just read him for filth on one of my shows. And I was like, oh my God, this is gonna go
Oh my
left.
goodness. What? Don't be
But he
reading
was
my
such a
baby daddy for filth. That's what you got to stop
no,
doing.
no, but it be things be happening on my show, you know. But anyway, he was such a gentleman. He was such a nice person. But it was really good to see you all be able to coexist in an environment where I didn't really see you guys interacting, but it wasn't like, oh, throw her out, you know.
I'd have been like, I
How
was here first. You leave.
how are you able to coexist now, before the book? Because I'm sure with the book being out, there's probably some energy around some of the stuff that you said. But what do you how are you guys able to coexist and move forward? Because there was the marriage, there was the public attacks you used to get for your age difference, there was the rumored breakdown with his mom where she didn't like you or you didn't like her or something like that. And then there was the divorce, and then there was the Oprah interview where I thought he was being a little messy, and I thought Oprah was being messy.
Let me tell
Um,
you, I write about that in my book. Oh God, I talk about it in my book. I talk about it. He and I are definitely cordial, and we co-parent very well. Are we friends? I'd say no. Um, I'd like for us to be friends. I miss my friend. He was my best friend before he was anything else. Um, that's my homie. We cool. Like he's a stylish guy and he's very current. I'd like to bounce things off him, like, yeah, I'm about to. What do you think about this? Should I put this out, or or hey, read my book. It's amazing. What do you think? Because the book is not about him, and I don't want your viewers or anybody to be misled that I sat and wrote 18 chapters about a man. Ain't no man that good. I mean, shoot, I don't know. There's nobody I can write 18 chapters about. That's like write a whole sonnet about a man. No, I wrote, he's in the book because he's part of my story. My story I have a very vast story. I mean, I was a person that worked in fashion for many years. How I started. I'm from Oakland. That alone is a book. Being from Oakland is
yeah.
a book in itself. So I didn't want to bore people with all my Oakland stuff, but he's not even until the middle of the book. You know what I mean? Because that's where he chronologically came into my life. So, but yeah, so in terms of our relationship, we're cool, definitely. Like, hey, how you doing? What's up with the boys? We talk about the kids, but I do miss my friend. I miss my homeboy. I do miss my friend. And so we're not friends, I would say, anymore.
Well, I think the reason why people are interested in that part of your your life, and it isn't to just to take away from the rest of it and then say
Mm,
that it's not equally important. You've been a very private person.
right.
We've heard from him with Oprah. We've heard from him speak on it. He never said your name, but he ain't got to say your name. Um, I think Oprah said your name, so we all who knew who he was talking about. Okay, so my thing
I
is
loved her so much. I was so sad about that. Yeah.
why.
I grew up an avid Oprah fan. I wanted to be like her. She was a person that I aspired to have my own talk show because I have so much I'm so opinionated about so many different topics, and I think I'm well versed on a lot of different topics. And I used to see her and just be like, "That's my stepmama, Oprah. That was my girl, Oprah Winfrey. Lord, Oprah." My grandmother used to call her Oprah. I watch Oprah every day. So when I saw the interview, the thing that disappointed me most, as with all of her interviews, I think she interviews the most huge celebrity. The underdog never gets a voice. We never get to say what our version of events were. And I think there's a lot of viewers that would be interested in hearing the truth. You know what I'm saying? I just think so.
Do you feel like Oprah was more focused on getting the interview with Usher Raymond and less on getting the truth about Usher's relationship with Tameka?
I can't say. I still love her. I still love Lady O. I love her, but I was very disappointed that I never got the like flip side of it to like, hey, let's interview the underdogs. What happened to them? You know, and what's their version of events?
So the book Here I Stand that has the double meaning doesn't have everything to do with Usher, but we are here at that chapter, so I got to ask you some questions. All right, so you were his stylist. Then y'all were hanging out in your book. You talk about how you guys were talking, and then although you weren't like officially all in, locked down with a ring on it, you were advanced enough to where you want to know where the was at, and you pulled up one day and the was in his lap. That's what you said. That's what
I
the book
did. Those are
said.
my. It is. It's there. It's there. It happened. It happened. Yes.
Because people would watch you right now being calm and speaking about being a mother and so poised and put together and lady, oh, when really you rolled up and was like, bitch, get up out of here. And you snatched a stripper out of Usher Raymond's
Didn't snap
spot.
no damn shit. That's y'all putting 2 on the 10. I definitely didn't snatch no damn.
Tameka, you're from East Oakland. You did not walk in and say, please leave.
I have the potential to snatch some wigs. However, I did not on that day. Well, maybe I did, but I didn't touch a girl. I was mad at him. The anger was directed in the right direction. You got to read the book. I mean, I'm not saying you, but I mean, I want your viewers to actually order and read the book because I think they will be pleasantly surprised about how things really went and my position on things. And there's some funny stories in there, actually. That's one of the funny stories. And that was before I got married. So I will say that for the record. That was prior to marriage. That's our old story. I've
It was
evolved.
before you got married, but clearly it was at a time where you felt that you were in enough to be able to control. This is what you said. You said his mother, mama, the one that didn't like you, reportedly, I don't know. She threw a party for him for his birthday at Capitol Grill, and you were invited. And you said you went there, and there were there were 5 tables, there were 10 guests each. You talked about an environment where there were a lot of people there, and you were able to flirt with him and get to know him. So clearly, at that point, you were invited by him, not mama. So somebody liked you. He liked you. She liked you.
She did like me at one point. She liked me. We used to eat dinner and hang out. We were cool, actually. We were cool. I think once she realized that he had serious feelings for me, I think something happened. It went down to tizzles.
So the dinner was cute. You guys are sitting at the top. By the way, I love Capitol Grill. They have like some really good fish. You guys are at Capitol Grill, and then here you are vibing. He's over with Nanny and the grandma and the mom and everybody, the family. They're all chilling. Everybody's great. You're invited. You probably were in a nice
You gotta
dress.
find that one page in the book. See, now you're making people think I really set up talking about him. That's just one story.
No. You know, everybody that follows me knows I'm messy. They know I'm here to do the mess. Okay. There's a whole book, and the whole book is great. This don't even happen till like later, like halfway in the middle of the book. So
Wait.
I was getting to it.
He's like,
No,
I don't
okay.
care about her grandma and them. I don't care about her grandma.
No, we're gonna go back to that because I think family is important. But I just want to get to this since we were
Family's
talking about
important.
marriage. Okay. So then at 2 a.m. you go to the house, you're calling the phone, he ain't answering. You like, I'm coming over. You pop up in your sequins outfit, whatever you were wearing.
I had on
And
sweats. No, I had sweats and lots of Vaseline on, actually. No, it was different. I wasn't dressed up. There wasn't no elegance going on. I had a whole t-shirt and some goddamn New Balances.
the
Ready.
reason why I ready for war, but the reason why I say all that is because when you pulled up, even though you weren't the wife, you pulled up enough to get your man. Was it to get your man? Like, do you think that's why he fell in love with you because of how assertive, and because every girl who ain't the girl don't do that.
I think entertainers have so many yes people around them. All your people around you pretty much are like, yes, oh boy, that's hot. That's amazing. You tight, ooh, you fresh, ooh, them clean. I think you got so many of those people that it's rare to have the person that's gonna come in and be like, that's whack. That's whack. Like that's not hot. So I think I kind of served as that person, like kind of no filter. I say things what I feel. I say them with my chest, and and I think he appreciate that. That's rare.
But what was the thing he would have to tell me? Was Tameka? Okay, you're my
Oh
friend, but you're on
God.
my show.
Oh,
Was it the head game? Was it the head game?
he
Was
was
it the
going
hand? Was
crazy.
it the hand job in the car on the way to the concert, girl? What was it that made him fall something? Because you being a little tight-lipped, and
He was sick.
I
Why
would.
are you talking this way? No, I don't know. I can't do that one. I don't know nothing about it. And then if I tell you, I got to kill you. You know what I'm saying? I can't give away my. Listen, what Kevin Samuel said. Nobody marries a high value man. An older woman can't get a high value man. Well, I married two, but so now what we gonna do? What's next, Kevin?
All right, so why do you think that why did you think that your age was such a topic when men do it all the time, and did it really bother you, the age difference?
The age didn't bother me. It was that what bothered me the most in the whole entire thing. I would say that it was black girls that I would say look like me. You know what I'm saying? People who my same demographic or my same background or might even go to my same school. They weren't supportive. You know what I mean? Most of the negative comments, if you look at the more urban blogs and things like that, that's black girls. And you look at the demographic of those blogs, these are girls between the ages of 25 and probably now 50, who were, she's ugly, she's this, she got kids, meanwhile they sitting over there feeding damn Cheerios to their baby on the side. You know what I mean? Like, you got kids too. You should be happy for me. And like I've always been pleasant. And like I've read reports like, oh, she didn't like the fans and she wouldn't. I'm like, what? I'm the one that's no matter where we were, would be like, you gotta sign that. She might not never see you again. I still will do that to him. If we're somewhere and some fans are acting crazy, I'll be like, I know. Sometimes he'll say I'm with my family, whatever. I say, no, she might not see you again, or she's from Germany, or I'm on the fan side. So as long as it's clear, I'm the ally of the fans. And I think it was mistaken that I was like being mean and I don't know, but more importantly, the black girls hate it. Any Caucasian women, any Latina women, any
Was that because they wanted him, or because they fantasized over him, or is it because they wanted to see him with some Elle magazine model or something, or another
probably
celebrity?
a little of both, I would imagine. I ruined the fantasy for them from what their picture of what they saw. They didn't know that he had like a very clean person with who kept a good house and, knew how to take care of kids and knew how to do the things that a man like him needed. They didn't assess that stuff. I'm not the party girl. I'm not going to have the cutout leggings on and the orange wig and all that. But I know how to do what I do.
So you had this beautiful wedding scheduled. I remember this. Now, I didn't know you then, but when I tell you I wanted to kick his ass for you, you had a beautiful wedding plan, all the people ready to go, dressed, done, fitting, probably did the bridesmaid thing with the little bachelorette party, all of that. And then the day before, he calls off the wedding because of rumors of your age. And then you didn't get married, but then you later went and married him anyway. When you look over all that, two questions. One, did you not want to kick his ass the day before your wedding? And then two, how dare you marry him after the fact?
I loved him, so I would have married him. Yes, I loved him a lot. So, yeah, I went ahead and married him. We all do stupid stuff for love, right? I wasn't
Mm.
stupid though. I don't have any regrets. All of the things that have happened, all my experiences have shaped me into who I am. Like even the boyfriends and the relationships prior to him and after him, they all shape me into my personality. They all give me funny stories. They've given me memories. Um, I don't have any like regrets about anybody I've ever been with. I just don't. I think everybody has been solid, because at the time they were solid, and they're probably solid now. I don't have any former crackheads or anything as boyfriends. I did well with
I
my
think
selections.
I think I got one in my book. That title was "Toxic Ass." I think he was on meth. But were you not embarrassed though when the wedding didn't go forward the
Oh
first time?
my God, of course. It was so embarrassing. It was a bad moment. It was definitely a bad moment. But see, I don't want you giving all the juicy stuff away. Not all of it, but yeah, you got to a few
Not
things.
all. This is a little bit to
That's
bait them. I'm
it.
not going
I'm
to get
not,
into all the
I'm not.
details.
Who else? Who
Okay,
else
you
you
didn't
talking
say, well, you didn't say anything, but let me ask you. Let me just ask you. The reason why I say is because I don't really feel like you've given the audience an opportunity to get to know who you and how you felt as a woman, right? When you talk about
Okay,
these
I
women
will
who
say this
made a,
in
oh,
closing.
wait, let me say this. All right, let me say this to set it up. All the women that don't have sympathy for you don't know you. They know Usher. And what I'm saying to you is that every woman should be able to connect for, and hopefully they read this book, Here I Stand, to get to it, right? Every woman should be able to empathize with another woman who is taking public scrutiny, taking attacks, taking it on the chin, left and right, and still standing there for her man, gets left at the altar, embarrassed in front of the world, and still comes back to marry the man. I feel like there's a reason for women to love you for that.
I agree. I mean, I don't think this is about the love of the women, because the people that are hate, listen, there's a very fine line between love and hate. So anyone that says that they hate you, that's a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to decide that you hate me, especially when you haven't met me or you haven't been around me. So the opposite of love is indifference. So if you don't care anything about me, and if you think I'm nobody and blah blah blah, then maybe you don't like me. But if you have enough energy to decide that you hate me, and you've never met me, you've never hung out with me, we never kicked it. How can you say you hate somebody you really don't know them?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the people that hate me really hate me. I don't believe that.
Mm. So let's talk about all the different deaths that you had in your family and your relationship with them. Did this all happen like over a period of time, or has this been since the relationship ended? This is all the loss and things that have happened in your life.
No, even prior, like my grandmother. I lived with my grandmother for a couple years in an area called Clear Lake. That's up near Napa, Calistoga area, that whole thing. So I lived there. My parents' house, I burned our house down by mistake. That's another story in the book. But anyway, when our house got burned, I was a little girl. But when our house got burned down, I moved with my grandmother. And that grandmother passed away, like, when I was an adult, like years later, 20 years later or something. So I lost her and my aunt at the same time. That was probably like like 90, I'd say 97. And then my little sister, she was a half sister. I wasn't super duper close to her, but she was adorable. She was my kid sister. She was in an accident. She died. So I've had some really hurtful losses. I lost my mother. That was in 2015. That was after my son Kyle. And of course,
And you
Kyle,
and your mother were really close, right?
because my mother and father. Yep. Hmm.
And
My mother,
so
my father's still alive though.
how did you work through the death of your mom?
How did I work? I think Kyle passing first prepared me for anything else. Like I don't think anything. I probably am somewhat numb to anything else. You know, my mother wasn't super healthy. You know what I mean? The doctors told her you have a heart. She had a triple bypass years ago, and she had heart issues. And the doctor said, "Hey, you got to stop eating this. You got to stop eating that." And she probably ate double helpings of it instead. Leave butter alone. Don't smoke cigarettes. Don't do this. Don't do that. And she did things to kind of accelerate her passing. So when she passed, though I was surprised and hurt, I just kept saying, man, we told her she couldn't you can't eat this fattening food, and you can't not live a healthy lifestyle. So it wasn't as shocking. And again, this is 3 years after Kyle.
Okay, so in the Tamron Hall interview, it's ironic that you use the word numb because I remember watching that interview and thinking, was your energy based off the energy that Tamara was given, or was it just a building up of being numb to things? Because you really do not really show a lot of emotion publicly. You're not that girl. So what is that tolerance built up because of all those experiences?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the emotions I feel about losing people in my family who the public didn't know, it's for them to judge, you know what I mean? So I am very private in terms of like mourning and all that. Like no, and then I also don't look for sympathy from people, right? So I kind of I guess keep kind of a stoic, kind of brave face in that
Mm.
regard, but that doesn't mean I don't deal with it. So like, for my son's like birthday and the anniversary, like the month of July is a very hard month for me. I travel. I try to travel as much as I can, to just kind of get away from things that may remind me, I go by myself or with a friend, and I'll go to like any foreign place to get away. I don't think
So
the outside public need to see me breaking down over my son, because I don't feel that I have genuine love there. So it's like, why am I being vulnerable to you guys? You guys don't. That's why it took me so long to write a book. Because I was like, it's none of you guys' business how I feel about losing Kyle. But then I realized there's so many other mothers that are dealing with loss, that it could help other people to see how I kind of cope and how I make it from day to day. How I'm able to take another selfie in life. You know what I mean? Like, how am I able to get dressed and be able to be myself? So I
mhm.
hope the book kind of helps them see.
Before we get into all the businesses, because you have so much, we know you as a stylist, we know you as a person who's been successful in fashion, and you have a lot of other businesses and things you're working on. Can I do my job and ask a little bit about some headline stuff?
Why not?
Okay. So I remember when they said Usher had herpes, I called you and you said you didn't have it. Now, how did you deal with all of that madness when the girl was saying,
What's wrong?
allegedly?
I don't know. Like, what is wrong with you? Okay, go ahead.
No, because everybody, as soon as we posted, it was
I
all in our
have,
email.
wait, let me say this. That question's off limits only because that's all things that have been rumored or whatever post my relationship. So I can't speak to it. But you're right about that. I don't have anything. Not even a cold. I am a little hoarse.
I
That's
have COVID. I have
shit.
COVID
Yeah.
19.
Now, I shouldn't even be talking to you. It might come through the damn screen. Mm-mm.
No, no. The reason I only wanted to clear that up because every time we post, they always try to tag you in on that, and
Yeah, keep my name
you're
out of
just
that.
you're such a private person. Like, let me tell you something.
I
Me
would
and
tell
Tamika, we
that.
don't.
You would have saw my name listed in something. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I really don't.
Me and Tamika, can I just say this? Me and you don't gossip about your life. We don't talk about your business. We don't talk
Mhm.
about him. We don't talk about none of that. So this is the first time. So I'm literally like a kid. You know how when a kid go to Toys R Us and the parent says you can get whatever you want. So I'm just asking everything I need to ask so I can go back to just being your
So
friend.
next question, because I don't know anything about that with his personal life. That's
Okay, okay, boom. I got it done. I ripped the
yeah.
band-aid off. Okay, so let's talk about all your other endeavors. So we know that you're in fashion, so clearly having the clothing line is something that makes sense. When and how did you develop that? And let's talk about that.
Clothing line. So it's a natural progression. I've been styling. I've been creating lines of clothing for so many different artists. When they go on a tour and they say, "Hey, I need 15 looks," I'm creating a bunch of designs and a bunch of different looks. Um, I decided to just, do it myself. I made luxury loungewear. This is actually one of my pieces too. But I made luxury loungewear because we were stuck in the house. Remember? It was COVID. Everybody had to do Zooms and everybody was taking meetings from home. But then some people were sneaking off and doing vacations. So I found I created things that were transitional that you can wear from the couch to the cabana, you know?
Mm.
So
And
that's
so where's it available?
Eli Kish. Is ELIKISH, which is Kyle Ish backwards. It's my son. So every business that I have has an underlying dedication to him.
Hmm. Now
I've
let me ask you a question. That this is why I have to say, and I'm gonna say this is me coming from the heart from a friend.
Mhm.
I understand that. My passwords are connected to my brother. Is that our way of still holding on?
It's just homage, playing homage. This is just, it's like the least you could do. You know what I mean? Like for me, the least I could do is to celebrate and honor my son. That's the least I could do, is to honor him. So yeah, he's just, Eli Kish is Kyle Ish. Just the K from his name on the front, it's just mixed up, his letters of his name. Kyle Ish. My animated project is focused on, a middle child. It's focused on him as well.
Got it. No, that makes sense. So you're also big on giving back. You're a part of several foundations. There's also one in Kyle's name. Do you want to talk about philanthropy and why that's so important to you? Why giving back is important?
Giving back is like the rent you pay to be on earth. I think that we are blessed. We have such good lives. We're able to eat at all the nice restaurants I keep bumping into you in. We're able to afford to, just live really good lives. And I think there's so many less fortunate people. I try to give back as much as I can. Even if I buy something new, I give something away. Like I have a rule. Every 6 items I give away, then I can buy something new. I have like different rules about giving and hoarding stuff. I try to be as generous as possible. But anyway, Kyle's World Foundation was started again in honor of Kyle. And it was for kids that had the same love of performing arts and theater and all this stuff, same as him. So I reached out to the inner cities to find children that may have been in like disparaged communities and who just didn't have access. And I gave them access, and we had camps for several years after Kyle passed. I've since changed the mission of the foundation, and I want to reward kids that do random acts. I want to do random acts of kindness for kids that are doing good deeds. I'm like celebrating do-gooders right now.
Well, listen, Here I Stand is a book that everybody has to read. There is a lot of answers to unanswered questions. I call it tea. It ain't messy, but it's definitely informative. And I'm glad that you're finally, taking this time to let people hear directly from you. I think for a long time you've just allowed narratives to be painted or people to say whatever they want. And there is some appreciation for the fact that we don't really care what people think of us. But at the same time, I think everybody should be in control of their own story. And I'm glad that you put yours in this book.
I found it important. I said, if I were, I remember during the pandemic, when it first started, I said, if I die of COVID, my kids would literally Google my name and see all these erroneous stories about their mother, and I won't even be able to clear it up. You know what I mean? So I said, I'm gonna write a book that's somewhat of a testament, and that clears up a lot of those, different stories. And really, I kind of wrote it for my kids, I think, and my family and my children. And I wrote it. I have a certain amount of little fans, and I wrote it for them as well. Yeah.
Mm. Well, I'm glad that you did. And so there's another book after this that's already in the works, or is this or no?
I'm doing a children's book after this. Yeah, I got to get back into my normal mode of being a mama. So the Odd Life of Kyle Lowes, I'm going to turn it into an actual children's book, a graphic novel first, and then from there, hopefully, we'll get our animated series picked up, and we'll be on television. That's the goal.
So did you get any cease and desist letters or anybody calling you about this book and saying you better not?
Now, Jason. No, I didn't. Actually, I got a call just reminding me not to be, I guess, too, don't go too far. I got one of those calls, but no, I got
It
no
wasn't it, it wasn't from the Bloods or Crips though. It was from like legal people.
I ain't gonna say who it was from. Yeah, Big Red and them coming to get me.
The Bloods. All right, look, Usher, we
Yeah.
gonna read this book, and everybody out there gonna get the book because it ain't about you. Tameka Raymond Foster, I'm glad that you came and
Foster
finally did
Raymond.
the show.
Yeah.
Well, they put it Tameka Raymond Foster here. Why they
Some
do
people
that?
ain't never been married. When you get married, you go duh duh duh. And for
Okay.
here's a question. Everybody's gonna say, why is she still Raymond? They are divorced. Da 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 da. Because number one, he gave me the name. That's A. B, it's so much easier. I don't want to go to the passport office and change all my credit cards and my driver's license and my birth and my social security card and all of that stuff and bank accounts and it's none of your business. That's why.
Tameka, when somebody online says to you, "Why do you still got his name?" Just say, "You got it bad."
Oh, that's so whack. Hey, if I say something that corny, they're gonna commit me for sure. They're like,
Hey,
she did
but your followers will go up, and that's the world that we live in. Tameka, Tameka,
love
thank you
you.
so much for finally coming on the show. And please don't tweet that I said anything wrong in this interview. Okay, just
I
wait till
ain't
it
said
comes.
nothing. Get the book, that part.
Here I stand. By the way, between you and I, that's the only song on that album that I listen to.
That was a banging album. Before I met you.
I know, but that song was just it just got you and you couldn't go nowhere else. Like that's the only one I listened to. I danced in my room to myself because you know I ain't got nobody.
You had your hand behind your back, like.
Exactly. All right, love you. Thank you
I
so
love
much for
you
coming on
too.
the show.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.